Maybe I just needed some space from you. My wife faked a girl's getaway and vanished for days, but I tracked her to the Maldives with her affair partner. I collected photo evidence and delivered it to his wife, then filed for divorce while she was still enjoying her trip. Where are you? I asked. Silence. Then, a pause so long it felt like a lifetime. What do you mean, honey? I'm on a girl's trip. I told you. But she hadn't. Not a whisper. Not a note. She was just gone. Her voice had that saccharine sweetness she reserved for bluffing, a tone she genuinely believed I couldn't decipher after 7 years of marriage. 7 years. You were gone before I woke up, I said, my voice steady, betraying none of the cold dread forming in my stomach. Not a note, not a call. You missed your mother's birthday dinner. And now you're telling me you're what? Having cocktails with the girls like nothing happened. She sighed, a sound that always meant she was about to dismiss my feelings. Jackson, don't be dramatic. I needed a break. It's been a tough few weeks. For whom? I asked, always calm, always measured. You've had spa dates and 2 wine tastings in the last 10 days. I've had 14-hour shifts and interrupted sleep. Who needed the break again? I heard the hesitation in her breath, the telltale sign she was calculating her next move. When she finally spoke, her voice was sharp, a subtle aggression I'd come to know. Maybe I needed a break from you. Have you ever thought of that? Her words hung in the air, heavy and dark as a thundercloud. I let them sit. Then, I pressed on. Where are you, Laura? What does it matter? She shot back. I closed my eyes, a slow, deliberate blink. That wasn't just evasion, it was control. She wanted me to chase. She wanted me to doubt. But I wasn't playing that game. I'm asking, I said, because your sister called me in tears this morning. She thought you'd had an accident. I was about to call the police. Oh my God, Laura muttered, the pretense crumbling slightly. This is insane. I'm fine. I'm with Danielle and Brittany. We're just unwinding. You're not with them, I stated, not asked. Silence again. Just the hum of the distance, amplifying my certainty. I pressed on. I called Danielle. She's in Austin with her fiancé. Brittany's been posting pictures from her apartment all weekend. Want to try again? The line went dead quiet for a beat too long. Then, a short, brittle laugh. Wow, you've become quite the investigator, haven't you? Just a husband, I said evenly, trying to understand why his wife is lying to his face. You're twisting everything, she snapped. You always do this when you feel like you're losing control. You start accusing, picking apart every word like I'm a case file. Maybe I didn't tell you because I knew you'd blow it out of proportion. Then tell me now, I said slowly, moving closer to the fireplace where our anniversary picture still sat in a silver frame. Tell me where you are. Who are you with? Give me the names. Let me hear them. The silence on the other end thickened, suffocating. You're not doing this, she said, her voice dropping, almost a threat. You're not going to interrogate me like I'm on trial. I'm not, I replied. I'm just asking for the truth. Remember what that sounds like? That hit her. I heard it in her quick intake of breath. Jackson, are you being cruel? Cruel? I repeated, a quiet, almost imperceptible smile touching my lips. No, Laura. Cruel is disappearing and pretending it's nothing. Cruel is letting your husband worry you're dead while you're off hiding something. I'm not hiding anything, she yelled, her tone breaking. I needed space. Space has a return time, I said softly. Not silence. I let a long pause stretch between us. I'll ask you one more time. Where are you? She didn't answer. Instead, I heard the click of her hanging up. No goodbye. No explanation. Just the cold, hollow tone of disconnection. The next morning, I was in the car before the sun even grazed the horizon. I didn't need GPS to find her. Natalie Reed lived just 20 minutes north, in a neat 2-story pulled straight from a magazine. Wreath on the door, yoga mat drying on the porch, little ceramic pumpkins still hanging on past fall. I parked a few houses down, turned off the engine, and just sat for a minute. I wasn't angry. No, this wasn't about anger. This was about data. Laura had told me a lie, and if Natalie was part of it, even unwittingly, she'd have the missing piece. I rang the doorbell twice. A few seconds passed, then a whisper behind the curtain. A brief flicker of hesitation before the door opened. Natalie, in a pink sweatshirt and a messy bun, mug in hand, her face lighting up with a familiar smile. Until her eyes met mine. Then the smile dimmed, just slightly. Jackson, I said, letting warmth slide into my voice. Didn't mean to stop by so early. Just passing through and thought I'd say hi. She stepped aside, a little flustered. Wow. Yeah. Come in. Want some coffee? Already had some, I said, stepping inside, scanning the house like a detective without a badge. I don't know if Laura mentioned it. She said she was with you this weekend. Natalie froze, mid-closing the door. There it was. The flicker. Oh. Yeah, she said, too quickly. Sure. The girls' trip, with Danielle and Brittany, too? I asked casually, as if I weren't paying much attention to the treble in her coffee cup. Her brow furrowed. She said you were all going together, that it was a couple's thing. The Maldives, right? I let the silence do the heavy lifting. Natalie realized too late what she had said. The Maldives, I repeated softly, savoring the word. She bit her lip. She didn't tell you? No. The silence that followed wasn't just awkward, it was surgical. I knew she had misspoken, and now she was trying desperately to backpedal. Natalie, I said gently, I'm not here to make a scene. I just want to know what Laura told you. That's all. She swallowed hard, then lowered her voice as if the walls had ears. She said she was going with you, she whispered. She said you both needed some time away. I even gave her my beach bag. I wouldn't have said anything if I had known. You didn't know, I said, my voice calm as still water. You just gave her what she asked for, like a good friend. Natalie looked down at her mug, her voice trembling. Is everything okay between you two? I gave a small nod that didn't reach my eyes. Things are changing. I walked to the door, stopping just before I opened it. She hasn't been telling me much lately, I added, without turning. But some truths are best shared when the time is right. She didn't reply. She just stood there in her soft sweatshirt, suddenly looking like someone who realizes she's in the middle of a fire she didn't mean to start. As I stepped out into the cool Dallas air, I didn't feel satisfaction, just confirmation. The lie wasn't random. It was designed. Which meant Laura wasn't just hiding from me. She was building something behind my back. Back at home, I sat on the couch with the curtains drawn, bathed in the cool blue light of my laptop screen. The rest of the world seemed to recede, just a hum behind glass. I opened Instagram, not because I wanted to see her, but because Laura couldn't help herself. She was addicted to the aesthetic, to the admiration, to that unspoken currency of carefully curated moments. Even when she claimed she was unplugging, she always left a trail. Her profile loaded in seconds. Sun-drenched photos, artful cocktails, windblown selfies. If you didn't know her, you'd think she was radiating peace, happiness, freedom. I knew better. I scrolled slowly, ignoring the smile she wore in every picture and focusing on the details, angles, shadows, background elements. That's where the truth lived. One post caught my eye. A new one from yesterday. Just her lounging by a pool in a straw hat. With the caption, chasing sunsets, not worries. Tagged at Azura Resorts. I clicked the tag. Luxury resort, Maldives. There. Same one she had never told me about. I stared at the picture for a long time. Not her face, but the sky behind her. The way the palm tree shadows fell, the pattern of the pool tiles. That was what I needed. I switched tabs, typed in the resort's hashtag, and began to sift through hundreds of photos from other guests. Tourists who had no idea they were helping a man quietly reconstruct a betrayal. My screen became a mosaic of cocktails, towel swans, beach views. I scanned them all, comparing timestamps, checking the sky conditions. I zoomed in on pool reflections, on the grout between tiles, on the angles of the umbrellas. Every detail mattered. Somewhere in the clutter, I found it. A post from a random couple, taken near the same pool just a few hours after Laura's. A different angle, but the same background. They were definitely there on the same day. Another scroll revealed a picture that made me lean forward. Laura's hat, the same one, on a different account, but with no tag, no caption linking her to it. And then it hit me. They had cropped her out. I clicked the profile private, but their bio mentioned Dallas. The puzzle was closing in. I was getting close. I cross-referenced names. I clicked through mutual friends. I tracked their likes. I searched every corner of her circle until the lines blurred. The hours passed. I didn't eat. I didn't speak. The only sound in the room was the click of keys and the occasional creak of the air conditioner kicking in. By midnight, my shoulders ached, my eyes burned. But I couldn't stop. It was like digging for a body I already knew was buried. At 2:13 in the morning, I leaned back, exhausted, my laptop screen dim. Still nothing conclusive. No face, no man, just clues, whispers. And for the first time in 2 days, doubt crept in. What if I was seeing shadows? What if this obsession was blinding me more than revealing anything? I rubbed my temples, ready to close the laptop. And that's when it happened. A notification chimed. New post. Someone had just tagged the same resort. I clicked without thinking. There he was. Not in a suit, not posed, just a man with wet hair, a drink in his hand, standing on the same pool deck as Laura's picture. Name, Breeze. Location, Dallas. And there, barely visible in the corner of the image, Laura's back. Unmistakable. My blood ran cold. I clicked his profile, already pulling at the thread that would unravel everything. Breeze Dane. The name settled in my mind like a fingerprint I hadn't realized was already there. I had never met him, not officially, but the algorithm thought we should have. His profile had popped up in my suggested list once or twice, probably through mutual tags, maybe a casual party shot from someone in Laura's circle. Now I knew why. His feed was mostly gym pics, group shots at Dallas breweries, and a few tasteless memes. But mixed in were travel posts, beaches, sunsets, all tagged with Wonder Wit, as if he thought he was running a brand. I clicked on a recent one, posted 3 hours ago. There he was, shirtless, standing on a balcony. The angle was familiar. The same resort deck as Laura's poolside photo. The palm trees identical. The umbrella placement the same. The horizon line confirmed it. He was there, still there, and he wasn't alone. The sliding glass door behind him reflected someone walking by. I zoomed in. Bare legs. The silhouette of a woman. Too far away to prove it was Laura, but close enough for instinct to scream. I scrolled back further, looking through his tagged photos. That's when I found it, buried in the clutter. A group shot from 2 months ago, a backyard barbecue. Breeze holding a beer, standing right behind him. Off-center was Laura. I paused. She wasn't smiling, not posing. She looked like she was mid-laugh, caught off guard, with one hand on his shoulder. Familiar. Too familiar. The account that posted the picture belonged to someone named Kira. Profile private, but her caption was public, friends kicking it at our place. Shout out to Breeze and Laura for bringing the wine and the drama wineglass smirking face. My heart didn't speed up. It slowed down. I wasn't paranoid. I wasn't reading too deep. This wasn't just a beach fling. This had roots. I needed to know where Breeze lived. I went back through Kira's old posts, searching for clues. Birthday pictures, game nights. Finally, a shot from last spring. Balloons on a front porch. Breeze again, holding a toddler on his lap. The caption read, "Family vibes at Breeze's place." Yellow heart. I zoomed in on the mailbox number behind him, then cross-referenced it with street names in the caption's comments. I found it. A quiet street, a Plano suburb. Google Maps confirmed it. A modest, modern build with big windows and an impeccable front lawn. I stared at the address. If Breeze was in the Maldives, someone else would be home. Someone who didn't know yet. I closed the laptop and grabbed my keys. The city blurred past my windshield as I drove. Each traffic light a beat in the rhythm of something shifting inside me. I wasn't looking for revenge. Not yet. This was confirmation. Closure. One last check before the storm broke. I parked 3 houses down again, keeping the car idling. A few minutes passed. Then I got out, adjusted my jacket, and walked up to the door with the casual stride of someone making a service call. A woman answered, in her late 20s or early 30s, tired eyes, a toddler pulling on her pant leg. "Hi," I said, offering a polite smile. "Sorry to bother you. I'm with Travis Heating. We had a system maintenance appointment scheduled for Breeze this week. Just confirming someone will be home." She frowned. "Breeze is out of town," she said. "Business trip. He left on Thursday." "Bingo," I nodded. "Understood. Thanks. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't coming to an empty house." She smiled politely, pulled the child inside. As the door closed, a wave of calm washed over me. Not fury, not even satisfaction, just the cold, validating stillness of knowing. They were together, and now so was I. The Maldives greeted me with postcard views and a bitter irony. Blue water, white sand, palm trees dancing as if nothing was wrong. The kind of place meant for honeymoons, renewals, promises. Not for unraveling lies. I checked into a smaller resort a mile away from where Laura and Breeze were staying. Nothing flashy, nothing loud, just close enough. My room had a clean balcony with a partial ocean view and a telephoto lens camera tucked neatly in my carry-on. I wasn't a photographer, but I was a man who paid attention. And right now, I needed pictures that wouldn't lie. The next morning, I started walking, slow, deliberate, unhurried. I wore sunglasses, a plain t-shirt, and a straw hat I bought from the resort gift shop to blend in. A man on vacation, nothing more. Their resort was exactly as I had seen it online. Blue-tiled infinity pools, tall white cabanas, overwater villas stretching out like fingers. I found a good vantage point behind a row of palm trees near the private beach path. I sat on a lounge chair, pretended to read, and waited. They came out just before noon. Laura was wearing the same straw hat. Her laugh carried over the water like wind chimes, soft, familiar, but so distant from the version I knew. Breeze followed a few steps behind, his shirt open, sunglasses perched arrogantly, as if he owned the view. She turned and touched his chest casually, as if she had done it 100 times before. My hand remained still, resting on the camera in my bag. "Wait. Let it unfold." She leaned into him. He kissed her shoulder. I raised the camera slowly, steadily, framing the shot. Click. They took a selfie together. She kissed his cheek. He snapped another picture. He wrapped an arm around her waist as if he had earned it. Click. Each picture felt like a pin on a map, drawing lines between suspicion and certainty. They walked to the water's edge, dipping their toes in, laughing about nothing. At one point, she turned to him and whispered something in his ear. He smiled, pulled her in. They kissed. Click. I zoomed in, framed it tight, captured every dishonest pixel. She looked so free, so different from the woman who once asked me if I liked blueberry or banana pancakes better. As if that question meant anything, as if we were building something real. But this was something else. Something crafted, staged, made for moments, not meaning. By the time the sun started to shift, I had over 40 images saved, each one sharper than the last. That night, back in my room, I transferred the best shots to my laptop. I selected 4, Laura laughing in his arms. Laura kissing him. Breeze holding her hand, her straw hat lying on the sand behind them as if she had no intention of picking it up. Then I opened my email for the divorce lawyer. Subject, attached documentation for the file. Message, let's start the process. This should be enough. I hit send. Then I opened a second tab. I printed a copy of the most incriminating photo, the kiss. I slid it into a plain envelope along with a note I had written on the resort stationery. I'm sorry, but this will help you in the trial. No name, no signature, just the truth. On the front, I carefully wrote, for Breeze's wife. Private. The next morning, I would send it from the island's main post kiosk. Just like that, evidence on its way to the person who deserved it most. It wasn't revenge. It was relief, and maybe, just maybe, a kind of justice Laura never saw coming. I waited until nightfall. Not just for the timing, but for the effect. Darkness has a way of stripping illusions down to the bone. I sat on the balcony of my rented room, the ocean whispering somewhere beyond the palms. The envelope was already in the resort's outgoing mail slot. There was no going back. Now it was Laura's turn. I swiped through my phone's contacts, my thumb hovering over her name. It sat there like a relic, Laura Harper, still attached to the wedding photo we once used as her profile picture. Her head on my shoulder, eyes closed, at peace. That version of us didn't exist anymore, but the name remained. I hit call. It rang twice before she answered, her voice bright and breezy. Hey babe, she said, drawing out the word just enough to sound innocent. Finally decided to stop ignoring me, huh? I didn't reply right away. The pause was intentional. Let her feel it. Then I said softly, how's the girls' trip? Silence. Even the waves seemed to stop. I pictured her sitting on the balcony of that resort, a drink in her hand, her body frozen. Oh, it's been good, she said, too quickly. You know, relaxing. Shopping. Spa stuff. Brittany got a little sunburned, but good. I cut her off, letting the warmth drain from my voice. Just making sure you and Breeze are enjoying the ocean. Her inhale was so sharp, I could almost hear her lungs fold. What did you say? I didn't repeat it. I didn't need to. Instead, I let the silence between us stretch like a tight wire. She scrambled. Jackson, I don't know what you think you know, but this is crazy. Are you being paranoid again? Am I? I asked, still calm. You're obviously upset. Look, I'll come home early, okay? Let's just talk face to face. Nothing is going on. That word, nothing, had lost all meaning. I'm not upset, Laura, I said evenly. Upset is emotional. I'm just awake. She didn't respond. So, I pushed a little further. You lied to your friends. You lied to your sister. You lied to me. And now you're lying to yourself. Her voice broke then, just a little. This doesn't have to be bad. We can talk. Work things out. I'll be on the next flight. Take your time, I said, getting up now, walking slowly to the sliding glass door. No need to rush. Just don't bother packing anything. She gasped. What does that mean? But I had already said what needed to be said. I'll see you when you land. Then I ended the call. No explosion, no shouting, just silence. Because sometimes silence is the sharpest blade. Inside, I put my phone down and poured a glass of water. Hands steady, my mind clearer than it had been in days. Somewhere on that island, she was now spiraling. And for the first time, it wasn't me trying to hold the center. It was me watching her lose it. Laura's panic came in waves, digital, desperate, relentless. By sunrise, my phone had exploded with notifications. 23 missed calls, 37 text messages, a series of voice notes that started with pleading and ended with trembling. Jackson, please. It's not what you think. I made a mistake. Okay, I'll explain everything. Where are you? Please talk to me. I'm scared. I didn't answer any of them. I wasn't angry anymore. That emotion had burned itself out somewhere over the ocean, leaving behind something cleaner, focused, almost surgical. I knew she'd be on a plane by morning. Her instinct would be to fix the narrative before it completely collapsed. But it was too late for that. The moment she lied about being with the girls, her story had written itself. I turned off my phone and slipped it into my pocket. I had one last stop before I flew home, Breeze. Finding him wasn't hard. The man was a creature of habit. Every morning, he went for a run along the narrow path behind the resort villas where the maintenance trucks parked and the tourists never ventured. I waited there just after sunrise, leaning against a palm tree. The tropical air thick with salt and humidity. I didn't plan to make a scene. I just wanted him to see me, to understand that whatever fantasy they had built was already over. A rhythmic, confident footfall came closer. Then he appeared, headphones in, sweat glistening on his forehead. He slowed down when he saw me. Recognition flickered in his eyes. A quick flash of panic. Then the arrogance returned like a mask. "You lost, dude." I shook my head slowly. "I don't think so. I'm exactly where I need to be." He smirked. "Let me guess. The husband." His tone was casual, but his jaw was tight. "She said you were, what was it? Separated. I guess she forgot to mention you're the detective type." I stood still, my hands in my pockets. The funny thing about lies is they tend to multiply when you water them. He scoffed, took a step closer. "Look, you've had your drama. She's already a wreck. You should probably," I cut him off. My voice quiet, almost gentle. "You should check your mailbox tomorrow." He frowned. "What?" "The pictures," I said evenly. "They're already on their way." That broke his composure. He lunged, fast, but clumsy, anger clouding precision. I stepped aside, caught his arm, and threw a clean, dry punch to his jaw. The sound was dull and final, the kind that brings no satisfaction, only conclusion. He staggered, holding his face. "You think this makes you a man?" He spat, his voice muffled with pain. "No," I said. "It allows me to call this settled." He laughed bitterly. "She's gonna come crawling back to you. You know they always do." "Maybe," I said, turning to walk away. "But when she does, the door will already be locked." I left him there, breathing hard, pride shattered, jaw swelling in the Maldives sun. As I walked back down the narrow path, I passed a pair of resort employees. They didn't look at me twice, just another tourist heading to breakfast. No one would remember me, and that's exactly how I wanted it. Back in my room, I washed my hands. No tremors, no guilt. I looked in the mirror. Same eyes, same face, but something in the posture was different. Now, straighter, more still. I packed my bag neatly, double-checked the camera's memory card, and zipped it all up with a quiet finality. My flight home left in 3 hours. Laura's was already in the air. By the time her plane touched down in Dallas, she would find a husband who no longer needed to yell, to question, or to plead. Just a man who had already moved past her version of the truth. When I walked into the house, it was too quiet. That kind of suffocating silence that only follows guilt. Laura was already sitting on the couch, her back straight as if she had been rehearsing this moment for hours. A mug of steaming tea rested in her hands. Untouched. Chamomile, judging from the scent. She always made chamomile when she didn't know what else to do. Her eyes met mine the second I closed the door behind me. She tried to smile, but the smile faltered halfway and became something closer to a plea. "You're home," she said softly, as if the words could anchor me. "I didn't know when your flight was." "You made tea," I said, gesturing to the mug. She stood up too quickly, nervous. "I thought it might help. I mean, with the jet lag. I don't know. I wanted to do something." She looked thinner, paler. "Ha." Voice teetered between a forced calm and a rising panic. I walked into the room slowly, my steps deliberate. "I'm not back to have tea, Laura." Her shoulders tensed. "I know. I was just hoping we could talk. Just us. No yelling, no lawyers." I said nothing. I just watched her twist the ring on her finger. A nervous habit I hadn't seen in years. "I know I messed up," she continued, her voice breaking as she tried to find the version of herself that I used to be charmed by. I panicked. Everything happened so fast. Breeze. He was just. It wasn't supposed to mean anything. I remained silent. That scared her more than yelling would have. She took a step closer. "Jackson, I swear I didn't look for it. It just happened." "Where?" I asked finally. She blinked. "What?" "In the Maldives." "Where exactly did it happen? Was it on the beach or in the villa you booked with your emergency credit card?" Her mouth fell open. Nothing came out. I pulled the envelope out of my coat and held it up. She hesitated. Then she took it with trembling fingers. Inside were the photos. Laura laughing, Breeze's hand around her waist, his lips pressed to hers. She looked at them for a long, long time, as if the paper could make it all disappear. When she finally looked up, her face had gone pale. "Jackson," she whispered. "I didn't know anyone saw us." I shook my head. "That's the part you're worried about. It's just," she came toward me, frantic. "Now it was stupid and selfish. But it's over. I'll end it for good. Just don't give up on us." "There is no us, Laura," I said calmly, firmly. "There's just the version you wanted me to believe in while you were building another one behind my back." She dropped the envelope. "So, that's it. You're just leaving?" "No," I said. "I left the moment you lied about the girls' trip. Everything since then has just been the cleanup." She crumbled. Then she really crumbled. Tears welled up. Her hands trembled. "I know I hurt you, but we've built a life. We have memories, traditions. We're not just disposable." I moved to the stairs, picked up the suitcase I had packed a week earlier. "You're right," I said. "We did have something real once. But real things don't survive on lies. They rot from the inside." She tried to grab my arm as I passed. I stepped back. "Please," she whispered, barely audible. "Don't leave me like this." I looked at her for a long moment. The same face I once woke up next to every morning. The same eyes that used to light up when I brought home Chinese food and bad wine on a Tuesday. Now they just looked empty. I walked to the front door and stopped with my hand on the knob. "I was just walking," I said, turning slightly. "In the Maldives. With your lover." Her face shattered. I could almost hear it crack. Then I softly rolled the suitcase onto the porch, stepped outside, and closed the door behind me. No slamming, no last words, just the kind of ending a lie like hers deserved. Some endings come loudly. Fights, slammed doors, broken glass. Ours came on a Thursday morning in a beige-walled office with a receptionist who offered us both lukewarm coffee as if she were hosting a casual brunch, not finalizing the dissection of a marriage. I declined. Laura took a cup and just held it in her hands, as if maybe the warmth could keep her together. The lawyer sat between us. The third witness to a story we had both stopped writing months ago. He clicked his pen. He laid out the final papers with a practiced efficiency that made me wonder how many broken people had passed through that office trying to sign their way out of regret. Laura looked nothing like the woman I knew 10 years ago. The sparkle was gone, not dimmed, but stripped. No makeup, hair pulled back in a low bun. She wore a pale blue blouse and the same gold bracelet I gave her on our second anniversary. Like a forgotten relic she hadn't had the heart to leave behind. She met my eyes once before dropping them again. "I've reviewed the terms," the lawyer said gently. "We've addressed the division of assets without opposition from either party. No children, no alimony. This should be straightforward." She nodded silently. "Just a signature here," he said, pointing to the last page in front of her. Her pen hovered over the line. I didn't breathe. A full 30 seconds passed. Then slowly, she signed her name, her handwriting smaller than usual, almost apologetic. When she looked up again, her eyes were glassy. "That's it, then." "Yes," I said. The lawyer offered a quiet smile and began stacking the documents. "You're free to go," he said. "I'll send confirmation once the filing is processed," but neither of us moved. Laura just sat there, her fingers fiddling with the edge of the paper. Then she spoke. "I thought I'd feel relieved," she whispered. "But I don't. I feel like I've lost something I'll never be able to explain." I stayed still. I let her talk. "I thought about telling you a different story," she continued, her voice shaky. "That it was a moment of weakness. That it didn't mean anything. That I was drunk, lonely. But none of that would have changed the truth. Would it?" "No," I said. "It wouldn't have." Her lips pressed together, swallowing something. "You were always steady, strong. I hated that about you sometimes. I wanted chaos, passion, but now..." She blinked rapidly. "Now I just missed the calm." I stood up and picked up the folder I had brought with me. I pulled one last envelope from inside. She watched as I slid it across the table toward her. She hadn't touched it yet. "What's that?" "A reminder. That even after everything," I said, buttoning my jacket, "I'm not a monster." She hesitated. Then she opened it. Inside was a Netflix gift card. She frowned. "I don't understand." "You'll need something to watch," I said softly, while Breeze is busy with the lawyers. Her breath hitched. Then the understanding hit her, and with it, the truth I had left unsaid until now. "You told her," she whispered. "His wife. You sent her the pictures." I met her eyes. She deserved to know who was in her bed and who wasn't. The silence between us expanded like a crack in glass. And then the final blow. I turned to leave but stopped at the door. I looked back one last time. "One question, Laura," I said, my voice quiet but cold. "How does it feel to destroy someone else's family just to escape your own?" She didn't answer. She couldn't. Her mouth opened, but whatever excuse she reached for dissolved before it left her throat. Tears welled up, But this time they weren't the tears of guilt. They were the tears of someone who finally understood the weight of what she had done. I gave a small nod, not of affection, just acknowledgement. Then I walked out. No slamming doors, no dramatic exits, just the sound of my shoes against the tile, carrying me away from the ashes of a life I refused to beg for. Saturday came with sunshine and just enough of a breeze to make the Texas heat bearable. I was standing in David's backyard with a drink in my hand, the smell of barbecue ribs rising in the air like a slow forgiveness. Laughter erupted from the patio where half the group had already formed a circle around the cornhole game, playfully arguing over who was cheating and who was just bad. I hadn't seen most of them in weeks. Not since before the lies, before the island, before everything quiet in my life had cracked like porcelain. But here I was, still standing. Still me. David clapped me on the back. Man, you're looking good. Less like a guy who just signed divorce papers and more like someone who dodged a grenade. I laughed. Sometimes the grenade throws itself. He roared with laughter at that. Then he was off to the grill. I took a sip and let my eyes wander over the people around me. Faces I trusted. Friends who didn't ask questions unless you gave them the answers. And then I saw her. Natalie. Laura's old friend. The one who had looked me straight in the eye and confirmed what I needed to know without even saying the word infidelity. She was wearing jeans and a soft white t-shirt, sunglasses pushed up on her head, her hair down. There was something easy about the way she moved, like she was comfortable in her own skin, even standing in a crowd that once revolved around my wife. She caught my eye across the yard and smiled. Then she made her way over, hands in her pockets. As if she hadn't yet decided what she was going to say. Well, she said, stopping next to me. You survived. Not just survived, I replied. Upgraded. Less lies, more brisket. She laughed. Really laughed. God, I missed this version of you. What version is that? The one that bites back. We stood there in a moment of silence. The sounds of the party fading slightly. Something passed between us. Not flirting, not yet, but understanding. Like two people who had seen a different angle of the same shipwreck. I raised my glass slightly in a mock salute. You kept your word. I owe you one for that. She tilted her head. Yeah. What's the going rate for a secret these days? I smiled. A dinner. One where we don't talk about exes, betrayals, or legal documents. She raised an eyebrow. And what do we talk about? I paused. Mostly dessert. She grinned. I love dessert. The moment stretched, not heavy, just warm. Then someone called her name from across the yard and she gave me a small nod. I'll be back for that second drink. She walked away and I watched her go. Not in the way I used to watch Laura. Not with hope, not with desperation, just with curiosity. For the first time in a long time, the weight in my chest didn't feel like a sentence. It felt like space. Space for something else. Space for something real. By the time the sun dipped below David's oak tree, the barbecue had quieted down and the laughter had settled into a softer rhythm. Full stomachs, soft music, the clinking of glasses. I found myself at the edge of the lawn, beer in hand, watching some of the guys toss a football in the fading light. Natalie had disappeared inside to help with the dishes, but every now and then, I'd catch a glimpse of her in the kitchen window, laughing with someone over a sponge and a wine glass. It felt honest. There had been so little honesty in my life lately. I had forgotten what it looked like when no one wanted something from you. David called everyone over with a clap of his hands. He was holding a bottle of cheap champagne. All right, people. Before we move on to dessert, I want to make a toast. We gathered around. To Jackson, he said, pointing the bottle at me. For handling the kind of betrayal that would have turned most men into walking disasters, and for doing it without losing his mind, his dignity, or his sharp sense of timing. There was laughter, some applause. Natalie moved to my side again, close enough that our arms brushed. David continued, to new beginnings, quiet revenge, and the kind of calm that scares cheaters more than any shouting ever could. More laughter, louder now. I raised my glass. To not settling for lies disguised as love. That one got a few whistles. We drank, and just like that, the old story was over. Nobody asked about Laura. Nobody brought up court dates or apologies. The photos were just pixels. Now the papers, ink. The truth. Well, that belonged to me. Quietly. Completely. Later, when the crowd had thinned and the playlist had faded into soft acoustic chords, Natalie sat next to me on the porch steps. So, she said, her knee brushing against mine. How does it feel? Like I finally stopped holding my breath. She nodded. You deserve it. I looked at her. I studied her face in the twilight. There were no promises there. No pressure. Just a woman who was once caught in someone else's lie. Now quietly rewriting her own truth. I think I'm ready, I said, almost to myself. For what? To let something real find me when it's ready. She smiled, a soft, Genuine smile. Maybe it already has. I didn't reply. I just leaned back, closed my eyes for a second, and breathed in the night air. There was no clap of thunder or cinematic kiss, just the slow, steady beat of peace. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't chasing answers or fighting ghosts or holding on to a version of myself someone else wanted me to be. I was here, alive, and finally free. This whole journey, from that first call to finding peace, it was a lot. I'm curious, what would you have done if you were in my shoes? Or, have you ever had to navigate a betrayal that completely changed your path? Tell me what you think in the comments below. I really want to hear your stories.